Hi, everybody. This is James from Prague, and I'm here with a nice friend of mine and a student of mine, Daniel Monroe. Hello, Daniel.
Hi, James.
Hi, Daniel. And we wanted to, I kind of wanted to introduce Daniel to the world. I think that's what I meant to be doing, and so I want to share him with everybody. And have some exciting events we're doing together, and yeah, it's gonna be really fun. So, Daniel, welcome. Tell people where you're from and where
So
you
I'm
live.
from Vancouver, Washington, right next to Portland, Oregon.
Okay. And
Yeah.
for those, we're just really getting started with this, which is really very, very exciting. First of all, we met. We should tell people how we met. We met. Daniel's a student of mine from Mediumship 2 course. How many years ago did you take it? 2 years ago, or a year ago, or
So
no? 2 years ago.
that one was last year, last April. I met you like in person, but it was what, 7-month program. So it started like a year and a half ago, maybe
Okay.
2 years. Yeah, because we're now 2025. So almost 2 years now.
And yeah, and the first time I saw Daniel was on a student Zoom call, and there were I don't know how many people, 100 people
A,
maybe in that
a
call, or
lot.
something. Yeah, a lot of people. And Daniel stuck out because just obviously stuck out. And I first said, "Oh my, you great talent, love your face." And
Yeah.
he said, "I'm cosmetology student." You said, cosmetology.
I just started going back to cosmetology, but I've always been wearing makeup.
Okay, and just for naive people like myself. So when you were growing up as a young child, did they have that? Was that a sense that I'm going to do that? It was just a very natural sense,
Yeah.
or what?
Yeah, I loved watching like my sister have the process of putting on makeup and like the music, and she didn't wear it as much as I do, but she would put like concealer on and straighten her hair and she would sit on the floor. And so I fell in love with the process of like having fun and taking that time for you. And I obviously like didn't wear makeup. I grew up on a farm in the middle of nowhere.
You grew up in
And
a farm in the middle of nowhere. Okay, that's what I love about this. Continue.
yeah. So I was like, oh my God, I'm in love with the process. So I would take time just styling my hair. I would have music on, and that's all I was allowed to do was style my hair. I couldn't wear makeup. I couldn't, have nails. So that's what I fell in love with was the process. So my version of it growing up that I was allowed to do was styling my hair.
Wow, wow.
Yeah.
When did you start your first facial makeup, like the full
I
face?
was actually
And forgive me for
17.
not using the right terms because I haven't worn
You're
makeup.
good. Uh, So I was 17, and that's right around the time that I started developing my mediumship gifts. And so the more I started honoring my soul and playing with, like RuPaul says, all the colors in the crayon box,
Yeah.
that's when I was like, you know what? My soul loves makeup. It loves this, it loves that. So it was things that I never allowed myself to do, or that just growing up, my parents didn't allow me to do. And so the more I started working with spirit and honoring my soul, the more the makeup came. Not gonna lie, the more the addiction of makeup started flowing in.
Well, it's so as we do mediumship is so creative, right? It's
Right.
a creative energy, and we use the medium, and it's so creative that most I'm going to say that's like a blank statement. Maybe it's not true, but most mediums that I'm aware of are creative beings. Some analytical mediums, right? But it's really interesting. Some of the best mediums I know around the world are very creative people, and some are hairstylists and. Oh, it's just amazing photographers, and it's just that the essence. So, when were you first aware of spirit, and tell us about your background, if we could? How about before we
So
do that? Let me just and the reason I love Daniel is because Daniel's free to be himself, which is fabulous, and I think that needs to be celebrated. So, saying that, tell us about your beginnings.
So I grew up, like random things would happen, lights would flicker, and we would always hear these stories. But I had these like imaginary friends, right? And I would call them like our TV would like randomly go in and out, and my
How old were you
family,
when this happened?
ever since I was little, it would
Okay,
always happen, multiple
right.
houses that we like lived in, and to this day, my family would make fun of me for it because the lights would flicker, and I would look at them and go, "It's the spirits," and that's how I would say it, like, "Oh, it's the spirits,"
That's
and
good.
my family would be like, "Oh," so then like something else would happen, and then my siblings would be like, "Oh, Daniel, is it the spirits?" And I'm like, "Yeah," and then the older I got, the more I started having stranger things happening. So I would randomly pass out, and I had to go to like doctors to figure out what was happening, and they were like, we see it's happening. I had to have a heart monitor on me. I had to go to a neurospecialist, and they're like, we see it's happening. We can't explain why, so we'll just call it anxiety. And it wasn't until so that started happening more so throughout middle school through high school. And high
So you're
school
in your
age,
teens when you're like 14, 15, 16.
yeah, and then 17 is when mediumship flew open, the door just wide open. And that's when I was like, oh, it was so much energy of feeling and sensing other people. And then there was this lovely, lovely show called Ghost Whisperer. I don't know if you
Well,
guys have
okay,
ever
stop.
heard.
Hold on one second. Wait, before you get there, before you go there, when you were in high school, 17, let's say, was there a sense that when you had this, that there was a knowingness, like a pure, just knowingness that this is part of my soul, if we call it that?
Yeah, it just was so effortless. It was so, like I said, like it was spirit. It like I wasn't scared of it, and I had a quick like explanation. And I remember just like looking at reflections and shadows and random things, and having a huge imagination, like the
Yeah,
biggest imagination, and had no problem creating, a game out of nowhere
yeah,
by
yeah,
myself.
yeah. Same. Yeah,
Yeah,
same.
yeah.
So then 17, it blew right open. And you're stuck on the farm still then at that age or no?
I moved out at 17 from the farm. So right when I moved out, that's when mediumship really became more prominent. And then again, I was allowed, because my mom was a Sunday school teacher. So I grew up in a very
Wow.
religious upbringing, and my dad is straight from Mexico. So we weren't really allowed to, talk about psychic stuff or any of that. I wasn't even allowed to watch Charmed, the TV show, the Charmed.
Yeah.
My mom would she would put like the little control lock on it. And so, but what we were allowed to watch was Ghost Whisperer.
Wow.
Isn't that wild?
That's
Yeah.
wild. So you related to Melinda having her experiences.
So I related to something that she mentioned when she had her son in the show. She mentioned an empath. And I was around 16 when I heard that, when I was watching it. And as soon as she said empath, again, growing up in the church, we never had these terms, never had any of that. And so I was like, what is this? So I jumped on Google and I was like, what's an empath? And like I like read everything, like, are you an empath? And I was like, oh my gosh, this sounds like me. And that's all that I thought I was just an empath. I didn't know I was a medium.
And when did that? Well, first of all, there's so much to unpack here. So
Yeah,
obviously, your family, you're from the evil, you're demonic or something, yeah.
right.
And did they ever try to get you an exorcism or something like that, or
No,
what
so
did they do?
that part didn't, like that part, like there was already a lot. I came out of a lot of closets, James. There's the gay closet, the makeup closet, and the mediumship closet.
So was the gay closet first, then the makeup, or the
The,
makeup then gay?
the
Yeah.
gay closet was first, then mediumship actually, then makeup. So moved out at 17 with my partner, and that was the first closet, coming out of and being gay and moving out and going through that. And it literally happened within the same month that I found out I was a medium. And that was just by simply going to a spiritual healer, meditating for the first time in my life. The next thing you know, boom, just things started popping in. And I
Sure.
was in cosmetology the first round, and I went back to school, and I didn't know boundaries with spirit or people. And I was reading people I just met the week before. And it was pretty, like, instantly my soul, like, lit up just doing it. And after that, then it came the mediumship part, because I wasn't really talking to my family or my parents, but they saw little marketing things here and there shortly after, and like me teaching a class or taking a class. And then so I had to, come into the closet with that with my parents. And
What
I
they
just,
say? What was the response to that?
I still remember it because I was on the phone with my mom, and my grandma was popping in. She was popping in, and my mom was getting ready to buy a store and like this whole business thing. And I go, Mom, I see grandma in the car with you, and you listening to music and her being there with you. And I see you asking her, like, okay, Mom, like if I should be making this choice and decision of like buying the store, should I do it? And my mom got so quiet. You could just hear like the emotions. She got
Yes.
so quiet. And then I was like, "Hello, are you still there?" And then the switch, that upbringing, that wiring that she has. She goes, "I don't know what devil stuff you're getting into, but I
Oh,
have to get off the phone." And then she
isn't
hung
that
up.
interesting? Wow. Interesting.
And now she still has like she'll never come to one of my shows. She made that very clear. But she loves to randomly be like, "Oh, well, I know you're talking to one of your relatives because I can see them and sense them too." She calls it God's discernment. It's very intriguing.
That's fine. Whatever language or labels they want to use, it's the same thing. It's just a label, or it's,
Right.
but you're teaching her to step out of the box, and you will continue to. And that's as for our relationship, it's going to be teaching your family and teaching people. And the one thing I love about Daniel, when I met Daniel on the first Zoom student call, it's like, oh wow, and had to acknowledge her face, had to, and it was done so well too. And I said, oh, I love your face. It done so well. And I mean, and then the mediumship was really good too. So put those two together, and I could see with Daniel there was just this raw material, and I wanted to make it really even better because I know I could see people's potential. And with you, Daniel, I saw your potential, and we're still, we're working on some other things together because there's so much there. And he's a very excellent medium. So but I know you're going to be better and better and better. So he's under my mentoring right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when did you start doing hub? Did you sit in development circles or what?
So we don't really have development circles here in like the Portland area. So it's one of the things that I started to take on after I started training more closely with you. But I honestly, your on-demand classes and courses and reading. So, I was 17. I couldn't afford
Right.
the classes and courses that are like $1,000 and such. But your
Right.
books, but you have like a lot. I'm not gonna lie, you guys jump on his sales when he has them.
Yeah, I
Because
have
I
them right now. Actually, I have
yeah.
Psychic Portal, $200 this whole
Yeah,
thing.
so Psychic Portal I purchased. What other one? You have like a plethora of them, but also what I love
All
about you
different
is
levels of value, and I mean, they're all different for everything. So
yeah,
42
and
different courses, and 43
you throw in like a bunch of free stuff too. So
yeah,
I
free
started,
meditation.
yeah, like I started with like meditation or this or that or like all these additional bonuses, and so I started with that. I've trained with other mediums and stuff. Not like train, but like took a weekend workshop in LA and then one in New York. But I always kept coming back to like your courses and your classes, and uh, that's how I started. And I only could feel because like most people can feel in the beginning, right? Because that's your
Yeah,
strongest
that's
is your
sentient. Yeah,
clairsentience.
yeah.
And so that was my strong suit, but it wasn't until you described something that was so life-changing of spirit lowers their vibration and mediums have to raise their vibrations and you meet in the middle, and that's why you're
It's,
called psychic mediums. And that was like mind-blowing for me.
it's so
And
cool. And sustaining that energy. Yeah, sustaining that
yeah.
level.
And so getting your vibration up there, then I was like, oh, and then so then I was like, okay, fast forward to doing this work for a decade. So I started at 17. I'm now 27 going on 28, and I
Oh,
was going
wow.
through I know.
Right to your Saturn return. Saturn return 28 to 31 is your Saturn return.
That's
So
what everyone keeps saying. I'm like, oof,
So
we'll
the
see.
Saturn return happens every 28 years, everyone. It's when we're born, the planets are in a certain position. And remember, everything is energy. So certain planets have, typical energy aspect of that size of the planet, if you will, and the energy that goes with it. And we in our body, mostly water, so it'll affect different aspects of us. So every 28 years, those same planets are in the same exact position. Happens every 28 years, and it's called your Saturn return because Saturn takes 28 years to go back. And those times between the Saturn return is when you're forced into doing what you came back here to do, what you came back here for, the reason. So major life changes, whether it's work or partnerships or endings, movings, it happens between those two times. It happens throughout life, but those are really concentrated times. And that's when I started doing mediumship myself. And I quit a job at Paramount Studios and took on mediumship. It was like a little bit before that, or maybe right around there, but it was Saturn return without a doubt. Yeah, it's very true.
Yeah.
What do you love about mediumship?
Oh my gosh, that I get to be me, 100% me. I'm not
What
gonna
does that,
lie,
what
but
does that mean?
so there was a couple of times where I was like, I'm gonna quit mediumship. But what broke me was every time I would go into my closet, I would be like, what the hell would I wear? I can't wear khakis and clock into a door. So, but
And you
honestly,
can't wear regular pants.
yeah. Yeah. Honestly, being authentically me and spirit doesn't care that I wear makeup, right? They don't care. As long as I'm being, authentic and I'm being loving, because it's truly what it's about. It's
Well,
that
it's an
love.
expression of yourself as well, right? It's an
Yeah.
expression of your genuine, it's an open heart, and it's just an expression of. And I give you credit because It takes a lot of courage. And when I was in that age, I mean, it was bad enough. So medium, they thought immediately I was nuts. In my day, they wanted to put me in an insane asylum. But I knew inside me what had to be brought out. And with you, I think it's great when you like. Would you call it drag? Would we say drag? Is that the right term now?
Some people call it day drag. I just call it looking like a
Day
Kardashian.
drag. You call it what?
Looking like a Kardashian.
Oh, honey.
I knew you weren't gonna
I've
love
met them. I've done readings to them. Let's not compare.
that.
Yeah,
But
that's
yeah, so it wasn't until recently, so before I took your mediumship too, which if anyone's on the fence of it, I honestly truly recommend it, because it's always good to go back to basics.
Yep.
And mediumship 2 isn't just basics, it's basics plus.
Yeah.
Because you get those online classes with James. And so that's when I honestly thought he didn't like me. So I signed up because I was going through a
Why did
burnout.
you think I didn't like
Yeah.
you? It's so funny.
So it's so funny. Well, one, uh, I had to ask you this because my name on the screen, obviously, this is Daniel, and I had to ask you this because you kept calling me Danielle, and you were like, "Honey, you're
Oh, did
so
I?
pretty." You
That's
were
probably
like,
because I can't see.
you
Yeah.
said, "Daniel, you're so pretty." I just glanced down at your name and just always would say it so quickly, and I was like, "Oh, okay, nice save." I'm just joking, but no. So I was like, "Oh, I get it. People do it all the time." But the other thing too was you give students such great steps in order to connect in the classes and the courses. And so there was like some practices that you would have people do, and you would have them exchange names so they knew who they were tapping into, and you were walking them through it. And then I would never raise my hand because I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the OG of mediumship. And I was like, I'm not going to raise my, and you would call on me. And I was like, oh no. And then I would be like, okay. And then I went to go get, the name or whatever, the practice that other people were doing. And you would stop me and you would be like, Daniel, you don't get anything. I want to see what you got. Go for it. And I was like,
'Cause I could see your potential. I could see
yeah,
your energy.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's when we fell in love.
It's just a lot. And then and what I really do love about Daniel, which is so great, is expressing yourself the way you do, and you're free about it. And
Yeah.
just think of how that teaches people, right? So when you show up in a demonstration and you're in whatever you want to drag or whatever you want to call it, whatever it is, even with the makeup face, which is fabulously done, by the way. It's so freeing for people just to be yourself and to have fun, and it shows them, guess what? You can do this too. You can do whatever makes you fun, whatever makes you happy. Do it. Life is too short, and that's really incredible and encouraging to so many people, Daniel. I don't think you know yet the impact you'll have on people by being who you are, by being free and being just like when RuPaul years and years ago, and I knew RuPaul before, you probably were born, but he was on the fringe there, and I was so proud. I don't know that of his whole evolution, and then he's such a wise being, when I watch his show, and it's like, wow, just letting people be themselves and express it, creativity. I mean, we're all God, we're all that divine light. So yeah, that's really, really great. And regarding your mediumship, you do readings, you do readings, and tell us about that.
Yeah. So I do one-on-one readings. My office location is in Portland, Oregon, and then through Zoom. But the going back to like those moments of like why you do what you do, or why what you love
Right,
it, is
right.
one of the things in the classes that also was so simple but so powerful. You said, Daniel, your homework is going to be, what are you going to learn in this reading? Because again, I was going through a burnout. There was a
Mm,
lot happening. We had a lot of like personal stuff going on, and I was like, well, I don't know if I want to do this anymore.
mm.
And when you said that, like, what, not just for your client, but what are you as a human? What are you going to go in, and what are you going to learn? And that honestly, again, was a game changer. I was like, what? Again, I've trained with other mediums and stuff, and just that vibration of exploring and just simply having fun so you can connect. Obviously, holding space for grief and stuff, but making sure that you go into it not with, obviously, I love to be a perfectionist. That's one of my best qualities, but also the worst qualities, especially in mediumship, because you can't control it. You can't
Right, and you're getting
control,
your own way that way, right? Yeah.
and you have to let go. And so when you gave me that assignment, I was able to still have control because I went in with that focal point, but I
Right.
was able to release and relax and be like, okay, let's see what happens.
And Jen, when you do it, like when a question, like when so, what are you learning from that? So when you go into that reading, you have that question. It's really good in a way because it also focuses your mind in that you're not so caught up in the reading. You're actually there's an opening, consider what am I going to learn from this? So it's not totally stuck in just that reading. So it opens up the mind to expand the mind in different ways. And when we expand the mind that open up, we receive many, many different ways, perceptions and insights and ways of doing things. And really about mediumship, I want to ask you about this too, from your age too. I believe it's an evolution for your soul. I mean, I say to people, it's really soul work, and you're here to evolve your soul. And I always say that, talking to dead people, that's good. That's a great side effect of it. But really, when you're developing as a medium, to me, it's soul development.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? And how has that work affected you? Started with you? Where have you gone?
It's 100% true, because the way that I love to describe it is your soul is the telephone, right? It's the telephone to the other side. So once you're able to truly connect with you, truly love yourself, get to know yourself. I call it dating yourself. When you go on dates with people, you're like, what do you want to do?
I don't, but continue.
Yeah. Well, maybe back in the day.
Back in the day.
But you would ask other people, like, what are your goals? What are your plans? A lot of people forget to do that with themselves. And so once you ask yourself, like, okay, what do I love? Like, again, makeup for me, how do I want to show up? What vibe, frequency, how do I want to show up for other people? What ripple effect do I want to have? And then really sit with that. Because again, once you get to know who you are to the core, then your gifts will flow in, because again, your soul, everything is energy, everything is connected. Like you said, we're all part of the divine source. So once you connect with that, that's then the telephone, or the connection to spirit, to the other side, to your gifts.
Yes. I was just saying that something just popped in my head, which I think I told you about in the very beginning. And I hope I think you probably still use this. I hope this technique, if you will. I think I remember saying to you, because you're such a wonderful artist, right? The face, the contours, is that the right word? But also contours area. So when you can, you're obviously very clairvoyant, right? Because you're able to do this. Because I studied clairvoyance. But I think I said to Daniel, and remind me if I didn't, I think I did though, that mediumship, it's for everyone, it's very different. Every medium works differently. Everyone is so different in mediumship. Different aspects of the mind are used because of our likes, our dislikes, our past lives, if you will, are working at it, however that is. And for you, I remember saying, when you communicate with the spirit world and you have a person there, you can use your artistic talent and have like a blank canvas and start painting their face.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I think I told you that. And what colors are the eyes? And like and what can you do? Have the big nose, short nose? Is it, what do the cheeks look like? And have you used that? You've used that, haven't you?
Yeah. You scared me when you first said it, because I remember you said, oh,
my job. Yeah.
You're like, you're an artist. And I was like, I can't draw to save my life. But then when you broke it down later, you were like, I want you to, in your mind, focus on you said, like, use your cosmetology, use the makeup.
Yes.
What was the hair? Was it curly? Was it this? Did they use this type of comb? Paint what were their brows like? What was their skin like? What was their cheek bone structure? How tall were they? How short were they? So it really and it's wild, because before I would get them, again, it's pretty good at doing it, but not at the level that I'm at now after meeting you, because then I will be like, oh, this is interesting. I've never seen this before. And then I'm able to describe it more. And describe, like, I remember doing a reading just last week. I'm like, oh, he's showing me he has a scar here. Because in my mind, it's almost like I'm going to go and paint his face. And then I would be like, well, oh, I can't put anything here because there's a scar.
Right. And a way to get into that headspace too, or mind space, is because I just think with you, it's so great that you have already this artistic ability, and that a medium will use what they're good at, and that's what you're very good at. That'd be a great way in, and it also gives a mind a place to go to, right? So you're not always thinking about, oh, I got to make a connection, I got to get evidence. It gives your mind a creative place to go to, but what does the skin look like? What the colors? What the eyes like? Well, I mean, it really makes your mind in a way busy, So you're able to receive that. You're not always thinking
Yeah.
about it. And I think with you, the more you do that, the better you'll get, the better and better. And then that'll build more confidence for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's really, really good. So,
James, are you able to see all the questions?
yeah, I think so. Yes. I see Shady went to class with Daniel and he is spot on. Oh, yeah, Daniel's very good. I wouldn't be here if he wasn't. The older Jennifer says, the older I get, the less I care what people think. Glad you got it early. Very true, Jennifer. What other people think of you is none of your business, right?
Oh, that was the other thing you taught me. I've been using it ever since. I was like, what people think of me is none of my business. I don't care.
Doesn't matter what people think. That's their truth, not your truth.
Hi, Carrie.
Where's Carrie? I don't see Carrie.
Carrie Cheeseman. That's one of
Hi,
my.
Carrie. Hi, Ann Margaret.
Daniel Monroe, when will you be having a beginner's development group again? A beginner's one, it will be a minute. We're about to start the intermediate one in February.
Wow. Okay, then. And how
James, when are you going to be doing them?
What am I going to be doing?
When are you going to be doing development circles?
I'm actually developing a class about development circles this year. So I'm actually going to do an online course on development circles, the way to use, begin development circle, what to expect going into it, different ways of working in a development circle, what you hope to get from development circle, because a lot of my students are sitting in a circle, mediumship one, mediumship two, and they don't have this. I give them what to do, but I want more of a, more detailed. So we do a course on that, and then drop into people's course, the circles spontaneously and see how they're doing. Because in a circle, for me, I find many people sit in a circle and think, I got to get a spirit in, I got to get a spirit in. And that's not really what it's about. Sitting in development circles to develop your power, bring your power. I say work from the inside out, and let the spirit people work. Yeah, you can take that one too. So the inside out, and build up that power and let spirit work on you, fine tune you. It's like fine tuning you. And that's really what it's about. And as you sit in that space of the silence, silence is very loud. And it really does, it's amazing sitting in the quiet. And I always say in a darkened room too, probably because of physical mediumship back in my days when we sit in the dark with the red light. That comes back from physical mediumship in the 1920s, if you will. And it really started with the red light in the seance room when they used to sit in, I think it was the UK, the embers, the fireplace. Because after dinner in those days, there was no television. Maybe there was maybe a radio, right? But they would just sit down at their dinner and sit and speak, communicate, and they would talk. And usually by the fire, the embers of the fire would get dark, and all they would be is light for the fire, the flames. So that's how it started with that red light, is that the embers. And it really is a wonderful way to also sitting in development circle is blending the energies, not only of the participants of the circle, but also you as a medium welcoming in the spirit people and sensing, feeling the nuances. Because as you know, in mediumship, it's all about the nuances. It's very sensitive. It's almost, Daniel, is like, and it's funny as, we different things come to us, we sit with different people, like with you now. So I would say, think of it as like, so your references, right? The medium's references are based upon their life experiences, they've been through all their experiences. So with you, what I see when I say fine tune, so if I would say to you, sit in a development circle, but imagine this, a piece of hair, and you want to make it as straight as you can. It might be curly, but your job is to make it straight as possible, and that is a good one, right? So however you can do that, whether it's through your mind, whether it's some material that you can put that on there to straighten it, whatever, it's a fine tuning. So that would make sense to you. I talk about that, right? Because it's part of your reference.
Yeah.
So, and everyone's different. No one can compare themselves to anybody else because we're all different. We all have different aspects and different life experiences. And the best thing to be is open-minded. Because the more open-minded we are, the more we can learn, the more we can grow, the more we can understand things. So it really does help that way.
Yeah. I want to piggyback on you mentioning like not comparing yourself.
I'm not giving you a piggyback ride. Sorry.
Something that it's very interesting because a lot of people, let's be real, James, let's talk as if not everyone is watching us.
Yeah.
You obviously are one of the most legendary mediums ever, right? A lot of people look up to you. I've always looked up to you.
I'm a small, medium, at large.
So when you would explain like working, you're like, oh, I see so and so standing there. I would compare myself at a young age, going, oh my gosh, I'm never gonna see like James sees or Melinda from Ghost Whisperer would see. But then in one of your classes, you explain there's a difference between physical and mental, and you're seeing them in your mind's eye. So going back to how tricky your mind is, that control, you're like, I have to see it this way. I have to, and I would compare, and I'm sure a lot of people do too. uh and then when you explained it that way, that's, oh, it's in here because it takes spirit so much energy to physically be there, but you can be there mental. That, and I love how you explain it in your classes, and I explain it like your third eye is like the projector and your mind is the screen, and when spirit's connecting in, your third eye is taking it and projecting it inward onto that movie screen.
That's nice.
So I'm sure you're gonna fine tune it,
That's
but
nice, but I'm going to make it simpler because
yes.
I think the thing with mediumship for a lot of people, they think it's this big complex thing, and it really isn't. It's really pretty simple, and it is what it is, and that's all that it is. So to me, when I learned the difference between seeing spirit, and I've seen spirit physically, and it's very funny because right now I'm writing my autobiography, and I'm on the first chapter, and the part of the first chapter is, it's so weird, and everybody who's watched this or hearing this, or you should start doing this, maybe going back to writing when you were a child. And when you start writing about that, more memories come to the forefront. So I remember I used to see my grandfather. I didn't know who he was. Let me back up. So I used to be put into the crib. I would see this probably maybe it's close to 2. I remember that my father, and I write about this in the very beginning, was holding my shoulder, and he put me into the room, the dark room, by the way, which they shouldn't have probably put light on, but they didn't in those days, the 50s. And I remember the TV and people in that living room, and they were a great time. And I wanted to stay with the people were. I didn't want to go to this dark room. I wasn't ready. Of course, I'm a night owl, so there you go. And I remember they lay me down and cry and cry. And every night, not every night, I guess, but several nights, I remember it was always 20 of 10 for some reason, 8:30 or 20 of 10, something like that, or 8:45, because I used to look out the crib to see the clock on the living room wall. And there was a man in the corner of the room. And this man in the corner of the room would look at me in his beautiful blue eyes, and he'd walk over, and he had white, wavy hair. And he would hold like some kind of a toy, a mobile of some kind above the crib. And it'd fascinate me. And that I doze off to sleep. And years later, my grandmother was going through a photograph album and came across this photo. I said, wait a minute, who's that man? She goes, oh, that's your grandfather. He died before you were born. I said, I used to see him all the time as a baby. I used to see him.
Aww.
And that was what we can call objective vision. So that's clairvoyance, but it's objective. Now, here's an easy way. So subjective is inside. Objective, O, is outside. So you see spirit objectively, right? It's you're seeing them outside of physical. It's a building up of ectoplasm and so forth, where they actually appear as a solid fixture. I've had that probably in Brazil. I experienced it many times. In Brazil, I experienced actually phenomenal. It was a room of 200 mediums, and it was called the Frei Luiz Center, and it was like adoption place, but also it was run by 200 mediums. And these mediums were doctors and dentists and medical personnel, health in the health field, their day job, if you will, but they're also mediums at night. And they had a house on the top of the hill. I wrote about it in one of my books. And they would reserve that house to build the ectoplasmic energy. And that's a substance found in everybody, but it's mostly more in mediums. And this ectoplasm material substance usually has to build up. So they would use this house to develop in circles, right? And they would only use it to manifest spirit. So they would once a month have mediums in the congregation, 200 mediums, all get together at 5 o'clock in the morning, and you'd have to wear white cotton clothes, could not eat meat for 48 hours or drink alcohol or have sex 48 hours or 3 days before. And they'd meet, and I went to, I used to go do trips to Brazil with some people. I used to do groups down there. And at that time, they invited me to sit in this once a month materialization circle. So I was sitting in the audience and scared shitless. I really was. I mean, I got to say, I was scared because I didn't know what to expect. So, but there was some beautiful music being played, and there was like a little stage. And I remember watching the vapors. I went for like a steam type thing, and it built up and built up. I was just sitting there and I felt like a pulling in my solar plexus and I was going toward that stage. And other mediums started to sit down and it's like a theater, some like theater thing in this house. And it was really interesting. I watched as the steam, the vapors built, the mists, and it built up, and there were suddenly feet and a leg and a body, and it was a materialization of a doctor.
Wow.
And this doctor was carrying a crystal, like a wand type of thing. It was moving, and I'm like, and I've been around some incredible mediums, never like this physical, and this right here. So they would bring up about 10 children, the sickest ones, the sick children that were there in the adoption place there at the agency. And they'd put them on a cot, and then this being would go, and I'd watch, and I'm a Virgo, so it has to be detailed, you got to see everything. And he put this crystal wand to different parts of the body, and that would go to the next person and the next person, and they would take them off, and then bring in another group, and I'm like, oh, this is amazing. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, I'd love to have this experience. Oh, I'd love to go there. So believe it, I'm not saying anything to anyone, just thinking it in my mind. They have this red flashlight, red beam. To me, come. So I went up and I laid down on the cot. I'm like, oh, and it was like, wow. So I'm lying there, and all of a sudden, the being comes over to me, and like everybody else would be there, just lying there. I'm like, I got to feel this to see if this is real. This is like Capricorn Virgo party, and it was solid. It was solid. And I was like, oh. So it's funny because then he put the crystal wand right by my stomach, and that was it. And then took me off. And afterwards, we went and had cakes and tea in the kitchen of the house. And when people talk and gather, and I felt like someone did surgery on me. I felt that. So a weeks later, I went back to Los Angeles, and I went to my doctor, and my doctor said, "What's going on with you? I just, looked at an X-ray of you." She goes, "What happened to you? Did you do something?" I said, "Why?" She goes, "Your ulcer is no longer there." I had an ulcer, and not that I wanted to get that healed, but there was an ulcer, and the doctor said, "It's gone." And I told her, I said, "Well, I told the experience," and she goes, "Well, something happened because it's not there anymore." So now that was amazing. But that was a physical, objectively you could see it. When we talk about something subjective, it's an impression that they place in the mind's eye, the mind. So it's within, just like feelings we have. We feel certain things. Now, outside of you can feel things as well. Like when you see something beautiful, a beautiful garden, or hear some beautiful music, or you see them performing. So there's all different ways, but subjective is inside, objective is outside.
Yeah.
Have you ever sat down with a table tipping?
No.
You'd be really good at that.
I'm
You'd be
super
very, very
gay.
good.
I feel like I would be so scared and like scream and run. Not gonna lie.
Well, it's not about you. Right.
What happens at
Let's
a
get a
table
remind
tipping?
Daniel. Yeah. So table tipping is really great because you're working. We did it in development circle a couple of times too. Where you sit there and you just allow it. Teachers are really good about surrendering. You surrender to such a point where you just become aware of you're one with the table, and you just lay your hands down, and you'll feel the waves of energy, and you'll feel the tables and it's just molecules, right? So you'll begin to feel the texture, the energy of the table there, that solid thing, which is not really solid, and you'll feel start waving like waves, like this. You go, okay, and you're part of that, and all of a sudden you feel the impression of movement, and you just allow it to happen. And I'm telling you, it's amazing. The table walked right out of the room, down the hallway, and we're like, whoa, and none of us we were just putting our hands there. It was just, and spirits underneath it helping move it because they're using that energy that we've provided to move that object, and it can be done. You'd be very, very good in table tipping. I guarantee that you'd be very, very good. Kelly White, my good friend Kelly White, her grandfather, a really big table tipper. He used to do table every Sunday afternoon. They'd have a seance. He would do that, and very, very good.
I would do it.
You'd be very good at it. Yeah, you have a lot of energy to do that, I think, and it's where we focus our energy, right, to allow things to happen. So I always say when we work as mediums, we're just opening up that space within our soul self, and we get away and we surrender to whatever happens. And the worst part about mediumship, not worst part, but something we got to look at when we work as a medium is really getting out of the way. That's one of the hardest things is to get out of the way and open up to whatever they need to, they want to come through with.
I'm down to try it. Hi, TJ from Olympia. Sorry,
See, I can see it. People like you can. I don't mind comments look different. I see Shady. She had a hard life and did the ectoplasmic readings for people. Oh wow, Wendy Maruso. Oh, Claudia, do you see that one from Jan Hennessy, Daniel?
No.
See, Claudia, yeah. So Colo, great with attracting object apports gifted. It would be great, Daniel. Yeah. Do you
Oh,
see
thank
this?
you. I do see
Yeah.
it now.
Does the table come back? The table comes back or it doesn't. Whatever, you let them do it. But it's really interesting. Daniel, have you done the Ouija board?
No. No.
Well, next time together, we're doing the Ouija board.
Are we really? I was always
Oh,
taught,
yeah.
like, obviously Christian upbringing, like, you don't touch it. So I've never.
So what's the difference between a Ouija board and you?
That's true. I see what you did there.
You know, it's just another way in. So even astrology, numerology, Reiki, it's just ways of tuning into that knowingness, and it's just like psychometry, holding an object of some. It's all energy. So it's the intention behind it, and it's so unfortunate that the ignorance over the years was just that people don't get it. They think, oh, it's a demonic tool. No, anything could be bad if you want it to be bad. I mean, really. And anything. I've had some of the greatest development from the Ouija board when it first started. And then the first being that came through was a guy called Angel Love. This is back when I was in my 20s. And he said, your life will be very different than you know it. And one day you will make the daily headlines. And you'll be writing a book. I'm like, oh, okay. So it's an interesting thing. I want to share with you, Daniel, something which I don't think I told you before. And for anyone that's watching this or listening to this, I was very fortunate to sit with Leslie Flint. And Leslie Flint was one of the last great direct voice mediums where the spirit people would, well, it's so exciting just talking. I was thinking about him earlier today, where the ectoplasm would build so much and would come out of his nose or ears or mouth or stomach. There were some great physical mediums every day. Helen Duncan was a great physical medium. So he was a physical medium, Leslie Flint. And I was sat with him 4 different times. Okay. He was from London, but my teacher was in LA. And when Leslie would come to the United States, he'd stay at my friend's apartment or house. And he would do circles once a month there, like the actual development circle, not development, but seance. So I remember sitting there and it was like 10 people. And I had nothing, for me, I didn't hear anything until somebody came through with a British accent. And I'm like, okay, it's probably him or some trickery going. But it was just, two was so on, so powerful. And I'll never forget, my mother came through. And this is recorded. I have a tape of this. And the first one of my guides came through and he said, James, I want to talk to James. James, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Because the voices are coming from the corner of the room over here. I go, yes. And I was so scared. And my mother had just passed. And he says, James, can you hear me? We're excited for you. This is before I got into mediumship. It was just beginning to develop, right? He goes, we're excited for you, my friend. You're sensitive, a psychic. One day you're going to help many people, my friend. You're going to write a book. Oh, we're so excited. What I say now you don't know, but years from now you'll understand. You're going to cross over water. And because when many here are excited for you. And then my mother came through, and all that developed. That came through exactly what this gentleman said. And I looked him up, and I found him. He worked for the French opera house, and I found him there. He was there. It was so exciting. And then my mother came through with her voice and her the way she would speak, her articulation, and it was just an amazing experience. That physicalness, and everybody can go online, look up Leslie Flint, and you can hear people come through. Queen Victoria come through. Rudolph Valentino's come through. Some great stuff. I mean, really, really great. And Oscar Wilde came through and he said, oh, in your world, it's sinful to be natural, but over here, it's natural to be sinful. Yeah. So some really great stuff. But I love exploring alternate ways of mediumship and ways with that world. That world, I was walking my dog this afternoon around the garden. And I think, wow, I'm so much more now there than kind of here because my work is so there, teaching every day or doing workshops or demonstrations, readings. So yeah, it's very interesting. I like that. I mean, I'm pretty grounded, but don't you think isn't it an opening for you? What do you think about that, being part of that world or those worlds?
I sometimes, and I'm sure you get this too, when you are going through so much here in the physical world,
Yeah.
when you're doing a reading, you're just like, this is great. Over here, I can do this all day. This is amazing. This is where it's at. Yeah. Somebody did ask. I wanted to circle
No,
back.
we're doing a thing together too, everybody. We want to let you know Ryan just put this up here. We're
Oh,
going to
thank you,
do
Brian.
a demonstration together. Yes, Daniel and I are starting to work together, and I'm got to keep things secret because some things are not allowed to be said yet. But there'll be a lot of exciting things coming up, and one of them is going to be we're going to be doing a demonstration online here. So there's the information. It's going to be January 30th.
January 30th. That's going to be so much fun.
That's going to be fun. And tickets are on sale now, I think, right? Yeah, tickets are on sale. On my website, your website has it on there?
Yeah, we updated it. But yeah, we have a lot of secret things that we're working on that we're super excited about. But this one upcoming in a couple of weeks, actually. Can you believe it, James? It's almost the
No, I
birthday.
can't believe it because it's just like, boop.
Yeah.
And things happen so quickly around here. I mean, it's so that old, I don't know if you heard that saying, that things move so fast around here, so quickly around here. People come and go
Something
so
that
quickly
I
here.
don't think a lot of people know. I know I didn't. You were such a movie buff, and you'll send me homework to watch certain movies,
Oh,
and it
yeah.
is part of my favorite homework is when you send me a movie I have to watch, and then you actually follow up and be like, "So, which one was your favorite part?"
And you learn a lot from it, right?
You do, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
you
so
learn a
much
lot
fun.
from it. And there's such good references to have that in your reference library in your mind that when someone comes through and they dress a certain way or they speak a certain way, you can use those movie references also to go back in your mind, and you'll use that for some of your messages. It's really fascinating because you're a creative person, because you so love that. You certain movies. I know. I love sharing that with you because some of these are classics which you have to see, and
Yeah,
the ones you've seen, you're like, wow, right?
yeah. Some of them I'm like, this is my favorite part is when you start singing. When you sing it, it's my favorite. I'm like, do it again. One more time.
What'd you say?
Yeah. James, you look so excited and happy about that. I just love this energy. Aw, Cheryl, that's so
Thank you,
sweet.
Cheryl. That's good. I got to think of another one. I can't think. My brain is fogged.
Somebody asked about grounding before. Let me see if I can find it because I want to make sure I
Got my
keep saying the
papers.
same. Do you have to ground yourself first when you do readings? That's from Sue.
What's your process, Daniel?
So my process is I like to set the intention with spirit, and so I always have like music on. I like to sage, but I always set the intention and I always say like a little prayer like, Father God, please bless me and my clients. Spirit, make sure you come through with the messages that your loved ones need to hear for the here and now, and that will help them heal and grow. Please come through and help me with understand and be able to be shown whatever it is that you're trying to get across. So there's that process where I'll really just feel it. So the prayer always changes before each session. I can
It
see
changes
James.
the shift of vibration, right?
Yeah. So it's always like, and it's very interesting, and I'll pay attention to what my intention is before each reading because it will
Yeah.
always come up later on in the reading. And I'm like, oh,
Yes.
okay. And then when I'm sitting with the client, I always love to explain the process and stuff and ask them. This is something that James really pushed me to do, is ask them if they have any questions for me before we get into it. And then when before they actually get in, so sage prayer, but something that James actually taught me, which I've actually never heard before, honestly, is running your energy.
Yeah. Very important.
Running your energy. So my favorite part is opening up your heart space that you always gave me as a homework assignment. Heart space, feeling more, emotions more.
Lead with your heart.
And so the other thing too is you would tell me to see with my heart, and I was like, what the hell does that even mean? But when you do, this is the other thing too, is you always taught me that they're coming to connect with somebody for a reason.
Right. Right.
And
So
then going
let me
into,
just interrupt you here because I want
yeah,
this is really important. Running your energy. So James did that. I was taught many years ago this wonderful healer. So we're all energy. We're cosmic energy and earth energy. And there's some people born with more cosmic energy, and people born with some others more earth energy. So it's kind of got to meet in the middle, if you will. So what I tend to do is cleanse the chakra points, the energetic points, and running your energy. What I do is I connect with Mother Earth, and I bring up and if you want to use your imagination to see like a flower growing, you bring up that earth energy, you feel very earthy up to the bottom of your feet, up your legs to your first chakra. And I was like a red light there, and just turn on that red light. Breathe in and then out. and as I'm going out, it's like a flame, if you will. You're stoking the flame, it builds up. The next inhale, bring it to the next one, from the red to the orange, and feel that. And illuminate that and exhale. Then we go all the way up to the solar plexus, yellow. Open that up and then down. So go all the way to your heart and feel that, right? All the way up to that heart, get the earth energy of your heart. Then you go for the cosmic. You bring in Father Sky, right? Mother Earth, Father Sky. Down, comes down the crown. Then really it comes in and goes around, if you will. Goes around here, the back of the neck, and then comes down. So it really touches the top of the crown, the third eye, then around, back down, like a necklace. And it goes to the heart chakra. And then you blend those two energies, the cosmic energy and the earth energy. You blend them together. It's all at the same time. And you send forth, imagine a stream of light, going out like water, like a spout, back to the earth, like an arc back to the earth. So you're bringing down, bringing up, and sending out all at the same time, simultaneously. So it's called running your energy, and you're cleansing the chakra points. You're changing the light bulbs. You're opening up I do that always before reading, but not only reading, I do it every day, 10 times a day, sitting in my car, in an elevator, in the store. Usually after a while, you aware of it. You feel so much. It's cleansed. Your energy's cleansed. You feel so much more vital, and it's really helps you. And also, if you do it before a reading, it really helps you to get out of your head, because you're working with energy. So that's really important. And yes, what else were we talking about? Oh yeah. So I agree with you. Like before you're sitting down for a message or someone doing a session, set the intention, say your prayer, if you will. And Daniel, I'm going to make it really simple for you if you want. I mean, and for anyone, I always say, may I meet the greatest need of the spirit and of my recipient. And
that's so much simpler.
Yeah, what is the greatest need? I as a medium have need to meet the greatest need of the spirit person who needs to come through, and also the recipient. What is the greatest? I hope I can do that as a servant. Yeah, and that's what I say, because it'll help. It opens up those doors, doesn't it? The windows.
Do you see why I love James, you guys? Literally, I'll like run to him and I'm like, help me with blah, 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 or this is what I have going on. And then he just simplifies it.
Yeah, it's so simple. Let me ask you a question. Lynn wants to know if you have a YouTube channel.
So I do. I haven't posted anything in a while, but I did just get a nice little talking to from James about updating my social media game. So stay tuned.
So we'll be working on that for Daniel, and he's going to need it because he's going to be very, very busy soon. And we're going to redo his website. So a couple more questions. Love, share. Thank you. Painted Chakras and Stairways. I love that.
Commenting, if Ryan can put the link one more time for James.
Ryan, put a comment, that'd be great. And Kimberly, have you heard about
James, do you want to tell them what it's called?
No. I can't.
You know what?
No.
Don't
let the energy out. You got to keep it compact until it's ready to get out there.
It's already out there.
Oh, you mean what we're doing? This talking to heaven?
Talking to heaven.
Oh, okay. I think that's something else.
Yeah. No.
Here it is right here. It says join James Daniel special Talking to Heaven online group. January 30th. Tickets are on sale right now for the event, and we're going to do each one will do the messages individually. Then we'll do some stuff together, and then we'll play around, see what happens, and it's gonna be great. My suggestion: keep sending love. Yay, calming, strength, and positive white light. Very good to everyone and to all. Used for good of the world, especially needed right now. That's very, very true. Thank you very much. It's very, very true.
And also, right quick, we all, I'm sure, want to say this to James. I'm sure you've gotten it 7,000 times already, but we are very sorry for your loss.
Wow,
but
thank you.
You truly are such, again, an inspiration. And I know, like, when I reached out to you, you not only were so in the moment of it all, but even your response was, I don't know how, honest to God, I don't know how you can always be you, even in moments like that, because your response was even so beautiful and so pure.
I don't remember. What was it?
Something about that your brother, you could feel your brother and he came to you.
Oh yeah, he's come to me a lot. Before he left the body, he came to me. Before he even left the body, he was like, "Get me out of here." He was on a machine and feeding tube, the whole thing. And he said, "Get me the heck out of here." And we talked about it 2 years ago when he was here at my house. And yeah, he died from esophageal cancer. And he was on a feeding tube and bags and all the thing for all, and he didn't want that quality. The hard part for everyone, I think, is not death itself. That's the easiest thing. Leading up to it, that's the part that a lot of people don't want to go through. And for him, it was a real tough one. But I thought, wow, and what is this about? And sometimes you think, well, can you heal this? I think some of that's karmic. I think that the soul might have to go through various things, or maybe it's some stored up stuff that they have to deal with it. They have to deal with the anger or unfinished business, so forth. So you never know, but you can hold everyone in love. I mean, that's who we are, is love, and not get caught up with this illusion of this world, right? Because the only thing that's real is love. That's all that's real. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you very much, and thank you everybody for your lovely thoughts. I just thank people on Facebook because a lot of lovely thoughts and messages. So thank you for everybody. And I had a wonderful student. I don't know if you know Anne from the school. She gave me a lovely message from my brother, really strong, and she really got it, like really strongly. So I appreciate that. Yeah. Letting go is the hardest thing about death. Yeah, letting go to the physical, because it's that physical part. But I'm happy for him. I'm happy that sometimes we get a little jealous, like really. Jealousy is lots of So thank you, Daniel. Once we step into the circle of positive, what is this Joni said? Joni, my love. Once we step into the circle of positiveness, the possibilities become endless. Infinite possibilities. That's right, Joni. That's great. Great. Well, thank you, Daniel. I'll see you on the 30th of January, and we'll talk to dead people.
Dead people.
Thanks, everybody. Hope you'll make it. And thanks, Ryan. Okay.
Thank
All right.